On night, we bring you a detailed look at a dramatic new chapter in the Russian-Ukraine war. An operation being described online as 267 Ukrainian drones and 7 robots striking a major Russian nuclear base valued at $1.9 billion. In this episode, we'll break down what's been reported, what independent sources confirm, how these drone and robot tactics work, why nuclear and strategic military sites are being targeted, and what the regional and global implications could be. I'll point you to the most reliable sources and separate confirmed facts from early or contested claims, so you can decide what to trust. If even part of this report is accurate, it represents a significant escalation in long-range unmanned attacks deep inside Russia, not just against logistics and fuel, but against high-value military infrastructure associated with Russia's nuclear forces. Targeting such sites risks strategic escalation, forces changes in air defenses, and raises concerns about nuclear safety and miscalculation. Multiple social and video outlets are circulating a dramatic claim that Ukrainian forces use 167 drones plus 7 robotic vehicles to strike a Russian facility described as a $1.9 billion nuclear base. That headline has been amplified across short-form video and aggregation channels in the last 24 hours. Those clips often package battlefield footage, satellite stills, and voiceover narration. But raw claims like this arrive faster than independent verification, so we must treat the numbers cautiously. Independent outlets have repeatedly confirmed that Ukraine has staged mass drone operations against deep Russian targets. Earlier large operations involved dozens to more than 100 drones in single raids. For instance, investigative reporting documented approximately 117 drones used to strike airbases linked to strategic bombers. That operation showed the use of smuggling and long-range guidance techniques. The International Atomic Energy Agency and news agencies have also reported drone activity near nuclear power plants in both Ukraine and Russia, raising legitimate nuclear safety concerns when unmanned ordnance approaches reactor sites or associated infrastructure. News outlets and official statements use different figures. Some Russian sources claim hundreds in Russian launched attacks. Ukrainian statements sometimes claim high numbers destroyed on the other side. Independent media investigations have confirmed large operations but often lower totals than some social posts. That's typical in active conflict reporting. Always check whether a number is from a government brief, a vetted media investigation, or a rapid online clip. When headlines say nuclear base, they can mean several things: a nuclear power plant, a military base that hosts nuclear-capable aircraft or missiles, or a logistics hub serving nuclear forces. The value tag, the $1.9 billion, likely refers to the construction or replacement cost of a large strategic facility, but cost figures can be speculative when used in early reporting. It's important to distinguish nuclear power plants, which are civilian energy infrastructure, from military installations associated with strategic weapons. Both are high value and highly sensitive targets. Striking military installations that host strategic bombers or nuclear assets aims to reduce the adversary's ability to project power. For Ukraine, such strikes degrade Russia's operational options and impose costly repairs. Attacks near nuclear power plants, even if they don't damage reactors, can damage external power lines, transformers, or auxiliary systems, creating nuclear safety risks and large economic disruption. The IAEA has repeatedly warned that drone incidents near nuclear sites threaten safety even without a direct reactor hit. Modern conflict has seen inexpensive modular drones used as both surveillance platforms and one-way attack vehicles. Ukraine's forces and private engineers have adapted commercial drone frames, coupled them with explosive payloads and simple navigation systems, or pushed them into larger swarms with networked mission plans. Some operations use hundreds of small loitering munitions or low-cost attack drones to saturate air defenses. The term robots, in many online reports, refers to autonomous ground vehicles, remote-controlled loitering robots, or tracked platforms used to approach and damage equipment. They're not humanoid machines from science fiction. Rather, think of rugged autonomous ground drones capable of carrying charges or incendiaries to a target once air defenses have been saturated. The videos accompanying the 7 robots claim show small ground vehicles or footage interpreted as such, but independent verification is still pending. In theory, a combined drone and robot tactic would work by sending swarm drones flying low and fast to overwhelm radar and air defenses, drawing interceptors and missiles. Once air defenses are tied up, ground robots or heavier airborne munitions can approach less protected ground infrastructure to deliver final blows. This combined approach is attractive tactically because it multiplies the attacker's options and forces defenders to allocate scarce interceptors across multiple domains. The downside is that command, control, and logistics for such mass operations are complex and vulnerable to disruption. Public footage and prior documented raids suggest an operation like this would follow a patterned staging and covert movement of drones near the border or inside friendly territory, a coordinated launch time to exploit gaps in air defenses, early targets to blind or jam detection systems, and then a focused attack run on hardened targets such as fuel depots, transformers, aircraft shelters, or logistics compounds. In some previous operations, investigators traced how dozens of drones were smuggled and launched in proximity to targets. Social posts claim significant damage to the base and to specific installations. Russia usually responds with statements asserting interception numbers and announcing local emergency steps. Independent outlets have documented fires and transformer damage at some incidents near nuclear sites in the past months, but confirmation of damage to explicitly nuclear assets is often cautious and depends on third-party assessments. For nuclear plants specifically, authorities and the IAEA watch for any impact on external power, cooling systems, or containment. Even indirect damage can be consequential. If a strike successfully damages assets tied to strategic forces, it reduces Russia's near-term readiness and forces redeployment of resources to repair and defend. It could also prompt the Kremlin to harden more bases, potentially relocating stock or dispersing aircraft and warheads, which is costly and time-consuming. Attacks in the vicinity of nuclear infrastructure, even if not targeting reactors, raise the stakes. A damaged transformer or severed transmission line can force nuclear plants onto backup diesel generators, a precarious condition. The IAEA has explicitly warned about the risks drones pose to nuclear safety. Any incident near nuclear-capable military sites risks misinterpretation and escalation. Leaders and international monitors will be watching closely to see whether such strikes were deliberate attempts to degrade strategic forces or unintended spillover from strikes on other military targets. Expect heightened rhetoric from Moscow and possibly retaliatory strikes or increased air defense activity. Western and international bodies may call for restraint while also reaffirming Ukraine's right to self-defense. The diplomatic effect will depend on the scale of damage and whether civilian infrastructure or nuclear safety was affected. Mass drone attacks allow Ukraine to impose cost on Russia's force structure, delay offensive operations, and signal capability to strike deep. Even if not all drones hit, the economic cost of repairs, the diversion of resources to defense, and the psychological effect on personnel are significant. For Russia, the costs include damage to assets, public pressure, and military embarrassment. For Ukraine, the risks include escalation, potential international concern if nuclear safety is threatened, and the logistical burden of sustaining such operations. And for civilians, there is always the risk of escalation of strikes near population centers and the economic disruption from damaged energy or transport infrastructure. Looking ahead, watch for official confirmations from Russia, Ukraine, and independent agencies, especially the IAEA in the case of nuclear sites. Expect satellite imagery and geolocated footage from independent investigators to emerge in coming days, often providing the best way to confirm damage and target identity. And keep an eye on changes in air defense posture or retaliatory strikes. Statements from ministries of defense and national leaders will provide clues about escalation. This is fast-moving and high-stakes reporting. We'll keep tracking verified updates and expert analysis, because when unmanned systems meet nuclear or strategic infrastructure, the line between tactical success and geopolitical escalation gets dangerously thin. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates as they're confirmed.